to fight. My last fight I was a little depressed. I've lost my best friend, and it was things that I don't like to talk about my personal life. So I was really down. The training didn't go as well as I would want it to be. So this time around, now that I got over that, I want to be able to speed myself when I go there to fight.
The AllStar app, the #1 app in the business. UFC, Bellator, One Championship, PFL, and more. Get the app right now. Link in description. All right, Helen. February 24th, you return to action for PFL this time. You're facing Lisa Mauldin. What are your thoughts on her and the skill set she possesses?
I have not watched her fights yet. So I'm developing the system, because, especially because I'm getting ready for a tournament style, where instead of focusing on your opponent, and I also had a lot of like last minute opponent in the past, don't spend a whole training camp focusing on one person and then feel left out if for some reason you end up fighting someone else. So I watched like 20, 30 seconds of one of her fights because my coach was watching it, but then I had to go and get wrapped up and stuff. I will watch on 5 weeks, so if it's still the same opponent, then I'll watch and see what her skills are. My coaches have watched her fights and make sure that I am training certain things. I know she's coming from a grappling camp. I think she trains with Carla Esparza, I think. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's the girl. Hopefully.
Yeah.
And if that is the case, I doubt that she's gonna try her luck on the feet. I mean, that wouldn't be very smart for her. I'm expecting her probably to come for some type of takedown. I don't know what her grappling style is yet because I haven't watched her fights. But that's pretty much what I've been focusing on the last three and a half years, because I started late and I've been known to be a striker, so I've been working on it for years. So that's what I think it's going to be. And even if she wasn't a wrestler, once she gets a feel of these hands, then she's going to become a wrestler. So that's what I'm expecting from her, to try to find a way to close the distance and try to take the fight to the ground. But that's pretty much all I have about her on fight week, because I will be in Orlando and I will be disconnected from my personal life and things I do on an every day. Then I'll have time to look at what she does. And then at that point, I will know for sure that that is the person I'm fighting, because it is fight week. Sometimes people get hurt or they get that virus, bichitis. Bichitis is a hell of a virus, and it attacks fighters as the fight gets closer. They start having symptoms, and then they back out. So if she managed to not catch that disease, then I'll catch her on the 24.
All right, all right. Is that the goal when you fight all the time? Is to have your opponent doubt like what their game plan is? You know what I mean? Like you said, once they catch the hands, they become a wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, it's always like that, because when you watch my fight, especially at the beginning, every coach will look at it and say, oh, she's just a brawler. Just throw a punch down the middle, you'll be fine. And it's true, the punch down the middle lands, but as you're landing something, I'm also landing one of those haymakers, and mine are usually a lot heavier hand than people in my weight class. And now, even though now I'm fighting at 125, and my last fight was against a high-level striker who was actually big for the weight class, and I took some shots, and I was still in there, and I was able to drop her in the last minute of the last round, and I was still able to get my hand raised. So now, because of that, I think other strikers might be a little bit more hesitant about trying their luck on their feet, because I know it looks random, sloppy, but it's not random. I actually train how to throw haymakers, depending on where my weight is, so it makes me more efficient. And it helps me save energy, as opposed to try to constantly position myself in the perfect spot so I can throw that beautiful punch. I think a beautiful punch is the one that lands, and you can expect a lot of those come the 24.
In 2019, you had a stint in bare knuckle boxing. How did competing in that and training for those fights help you, I guess, grow as a fighter? Especially you talk about the haymakers, and I know bare knuckle boxing is completely different than MMA.
Oh, actually, doing that, I was doing it because I was injured and I couldn't train in MMA. MMA is a lot of joint manipulation, but it made me realize that you don't have to react to everything, and we are a lot stronger than we think we are. So now when I spar, I can do 6 rounds, 7 rounds, because I am not reacting to the feints. I am not reacting to anything my partner is doing, because I don't give a shit if they land, because I already been hit bare knuckle by the champion. And you saw that fight. It was a bloody mess. And I was in there all the way through, and I could have gone a few more rounds. So I realized, I'm like, how stronger I am, how much I can take. and that way you don't when you're in a fight, most of the energy spent comes from reacting. You don't want to get hit, you don't want to become a meme, right? So you don't know how that punch is gonna land, and then you start spending too much energy trying to stay away from that. Now I know, like, if my opponent, I doubt she would, but if she decides she wants to stay in the pocket and just brawl, man, I'm in. I've done it before, and I know it usually goes my way. I doubt that will be her strategy, but she decides to. I know now I can do that, and it comes from bare knuckle. I definitely bare knuckle changed my approach, because before I would try to like avoid getting hit. Now I don't. I'm like, yeah, we can go 1 for 1 all day, baby. I got that in the bag.
Last year, 2022, you had 4 fights. You did reality TV. You started and ended the year with a win. Was that the most educational year for you as a fighter?
Yeah, I think so too. I learned a lot about, like, how to train, like train differently. Like when I first started, it was all about training a lot and training hard, because I was 27 years old when I started with no background in any combat sport. But now that I have that knowledge, it's more about fine tuning and finding your niche. Before, I would try not to throw haymakers in training. Now I train haymakers because my coach said, I know you're going to throw them. I'm like, yep, you're right. I will throw haymakers. So we might as well add it to the game plan. So now everything is more precise, more specific. I know how to train. Sometimes I show up to the gym, and if nobody shows up for sparring, or if it's a slow day, or if I go there by myself, I know how to put myself through workouts too. So I did learn a lot, and definitely 2022 was a learning roller coaster.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And you started your career at 115, and then you transformed into a flyweight. What caused you to make that change?
I love food, man. I like to eat.
We all do.
And not only that, my last fight at 115, I passed out 3 times trying to make weight because, as I said, I was training so hard, and a lot of fights got canceled in 2020. So because I didn't fight, I didn't take time off, and apparently I don't lift, but I started putting muscle mass just from constant training. And the last weight cut, my arms were so stiff, it was almost like glue on both my forearms, and they were numb for most of the fight. So I told my coach, I'm like, I know I'm gonna be smaller at 125, but when I have this little belly, it's a full gas tank. I do not get tired at 125, and I live a better life. I can put a little bit of cream in my coffee. I don't have to be so ripped all the time. The six pack is gone, but I'm still pretty. So I'll take it. I like the fact that I don't get tired, because you never know. I mean, of course, we all want to finish the fight in the first round and go home and count our money, right? Go to the bank. But sometimes your opponent, especially at this level, these girls are all tough. If they weren't, they wouldn't be where they are right now. My opponent wouldn't be there with me if it wasn't because she's a badass. So you cannot count on a fight ending in the first round. So I prefer 125. I bring my little pop belly. I have a full gas tank here. I can go all day, and then we'll take it from there.
Besides the gas tank, how different do you feel at 125? How better do you feel?
I just feel stronger, because I do notice, or I did notice, that I will lose a lot of my power during the weight cut, because it was just so tough. Imagine that every fight that you have is the biggest fight of your life. That's how it goes as a pro. And then you train so hard, you prepare, you fine tune your body, you get a massage, chiropractor, your body's a temple, and then you almost kill yourself right before the biggest fight of your life. Why? That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, it's not you don't get a weight advantage anymore, because everybody's cutting weight. So in truth, nobody's getting a real weight advantage. So I'd rather be a little bit smaller. I noticed, because I travel a lot for sparring, I'm faster than the bigger people, and I hit just as hard. So I'm like, you know what? My power doesn't suffer at 125. I've getting hit by some of the best strikers at 125, like my last fight against Pereira, and I was able to take it and come back. So now I know that for sure this is my weight class. I'm not cutting weight anymore. I think it's non-productive. If it was up to me, I would just fight at whatever way I walk around. It's not feasible right now because, the way that the sport is structured. But in the future, I wish it was just like that. You weigh in, you don't know who you're fighting, you walk to the cage, and then boom, they send someone in, and then that's it. You're fighting that person.
Well, eventually someone will probably make a promotion like that. It's just the evolution of the
I
sport.
think it will be awesome. It will make the fighter so much better, because you're not going to spend a whole camp trying to avoid the overhand or avoid the single leg of that person you're fighting. You don't know who you're fighting, so you're going to have to become better everywhere. I think it will definitely make the fighters way better if that was the way it went.
Yeah, and also there wouldn't be canceled fights because you don't know who your opponent is. You just
Exactly.
know you're fighting, and these other people will be fighting. So eventually, it
Yeah,
doesn't
you won't be
matter.
able to get the shits
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
won't know who to be scared of.
Now, for training camp, you say you work at different spots, you spar at different spots, but who are your coaches?
Right now, my main coach is Della Muniz. We've been together from the beginning. My head coach, I haven't been able to make it to Georgia because I'm moving. So I'm like between head camps right now, but I'm still training with the same people. I just know like you have to, sometimes you outgrow where you are and you have to recognize that, move on. There's loyalty and there's also loyalty to yourself. And not only that, my head coach, he also wants me to get better, my previous head coach. So now I'm kind of like, moving around, testing different camps and finding not just a good coach. There's a lot of good coaches out there, but you have to have, it have to be a good chemistry. You have to have that relationship. So I'm still working on that. I've met some really cool people that I've been training with. So eventually, now I just moved to Rockford, Illinois, in that area. The MMA community is a lot bigger. I come from Fairfield, Iowa. It's a meditation town. It's not known for beating people up. It's known for meditating and relaxing. So it will be a good change. And eventually I'll find that one person that you feel like that connection with. I know a lot of good coaches and I'm very appreciative of everybody I mean, I'm like a Frankenstein job. I have so many coaches giving me tips, so many coaches helping me out, but I still haven't find my person, the next level, because it's not just the coaches. You also have to have people that you can train with, people your size. I don't want to keep training with people bigger because that's how you get hurt, you know. And then training with girls is a lot easier because if they get mad, like what the fuck are they gonna do? But with the guys, I'm sparring sometimes bigger guys, and I can't hurt them even if I wanted to, but I tag them very often, and if they were to lose control for a second, I mean, they could really hurt me. So I'm trying to avoid those situations because I want to be able to give the fans the best every time I show up, and part of being a professional is making sure you're not hurt before you get to the fight. It's to make sure that you keep, track of your health.
For sure, for sure. And who have been your sparring partners then? Any particular people you worked with like more than others?
Um, I train a lot with one of my coaches, Dylan. He's actually younger than me. Most coaches are usually older. He's younger than me. He's a ninja. So I do most of my sparring with him, and then I like to go to Gregory Boxing to test my hands. I like to go to Northern Illinois Combat Club because they have a lot of good wrestlers there. And as I said, I think I work a lot on grappling. I don't do as much as I used to because, again, when it gets close to the fight, you want to make sure you're not hurt. But they have really good wrestlers, really good jiu-jitsu there, so I go there for that. But when it comes to like mixing it all together, I should travel around. I'm in Iowa and I have a bunch of knuckle sandwiches. So tomorrow I'm gonna message a few people, see who wants to go. As long as you're on my side, I'm good. I'm good to go. You can learn anything from pretty much anybody. I haven't have any big names in my camp. That's why I'm not necessarily dropping names because it wouldn't be people that you know. But I do have some very good people that are there to help me.
How do you expect to perform? Like, what do you want to show for to the PFL in this fight coming up?
I want to be able to be myself, like things happen every time coming up to fight. My last fight, I was a little depressed. I've lost my best friend, and it was things that I don't like to talk about my personal life. So I was really down, and the training didn't go as well as I would want it to be. So this time around, now that I got over that, I want to be able to just be myself when I go there to fight.
What do you think of the rest of the fights, the other people in this Challenger series? Like, what do you think of those fights? Are you interested in any particular matchup?
Oh yeah, Kayla Neal.
Mm.
We need a rematch, baby. I love you. I love the girl. She's super cute too. I'll take her on a date if she wants to. I'm totally down, but I need to get that one back because I don't think she won that fight, and I think she knows that in her heart. But it was close, so I won't call it a robbery. I guess it depends on where you were sitting when you were around and she's got what I call the complexion for the collection. If you don't know who that is, Google it. What's the complexion for the collection for the protection? And she's a cute white girl with a sad story. Her dad died in and you know how it is. Cute white girl is a very powerful thing. It touches me too. I'm part of the problem. But a cute white girl with a sad story, America. It's hard to compete with that. So now I would love to get another crack at her for sure. I mean, and I mean that out of respect. It's because I feel like, we need some closure. I need some closure.
Having a chip on your shoulder. Do you have a chip on your shoulder in coming like into the PFL? Nah,
No,
nah.
no, because I'm not doing this for anybody else.
Mhm,
That's part of what I've noticed. Like people live not for themselves, but for other people. What people are
mhm.
gonna think. I wish I gave a shit what people think about me because it will probably help me out on social media and things like that. But I just don't. I do this for myself. When I go out there, I'm doing it for me. I want to be a better person for myself. I want to be a motivational speaker and I'm trying things out. This all MMA thing, it's just me collecting cool stories to go with it.
Yeah.
And so when I tell people you can be whoever you want to be, they know I'm not just blowing hot air. I've been there and I've done it myself. I just need that for like documentation.
February 24th, PFL Challenger Series. Go in the descriptions, download the AllStar app. Helen, thank you so much for the time and all the best in the fight and getting this shot at the tournament. It's crazy. $1 million.